All right, aloha, Tulsi Kratz. I'm Dave, and this is a channel I named Save America, Vote Tulsi Gabbard. Just to let you know, again, I need your help over on Patreon. Demonetized for 2 days on 2 videos, and I lost quite a few views, as we like to say in the business. I never expected this to be a big money-making venture, but the time and the effort I put into this, if you look at that investment and how much money I actually do earn, it's kind of like minimum wage at your fast food restaurant at best, and probably lower. So and that's why we need a living wage, by the way. I wonder if Google would come through with a living wage for YouTube folks. Probably not. But anyway, I want to talk about how Bernie Sanders and Tulsi Gabbard are the 2 candidates that are going to get stuff done. This email came through, and if you're part of the Tulsi campaign and you signed up, you're getting these emails right along with yours truly. It says here, David, it's time to hold big pharma opioid pushers like Purdue Pharma accountable for the opioid crisis they helped cause. That's why Senator Bernie Sanders and I have written and introduced a sweeping bicameral bill. Now, do you know any other candidates right now who are running, who are doing like real-time updates on things that they're actually doing right now in the government to try to fix problems? I don't know anybody other than Bernie or Tulsi who are doing these. And they seem to be the 2 most disliked candidates, at least in the Democratic Party. And these 2 candidates have enormous crossover appeal. Let me tell you something else, too. This channel has kind of dabbled in the food fights between candidates and between commentators and this and that. I had a long conversation with a friend yesterday, and we were talking about how I think I really need to focus on issues like this, sort of the nuts and bolts of things. I'm not going to talk. I have no interest in identity politics. I have no interest in fake Russian collusion hoaxes. I have no interest in anything that takes us off of the issues that concern the American people. And this email, was timed right after I had that revelation. I said to myself, well, we're going to talk about this. While everybody else, nobody in the media is talking about this. And it's right there because they're getting the email updates. I'm sure everybody in the media has signed up for various campaigns so they can get the emails, and then they can craft their talking points around and try to, pick it apart, and which is not productive. I know that the news media is going to do that because they're eternally bored. They've had Donald Trump for a number of years now, and either they can't just cover Trump, even though it seems like it. They cover Trump 24/7. They need other stuff. They'd probably rather cover somebody else, but for the sake of ratings, they just don't stop. And I think we have to go a different direction. We have to go to what matters most to people, and we have to stay on point. Some of the other progressive people that I see doing videos, they do a lot of stuff on just this one said this about the other one, and you sit there and you watch it and you go, you're doing an entire 45-minute live stream on the food fight between Kamala Harris and Tulsi Gabbard, or Kamala Harris and Joe Biden. And after about 5 minutes of that, I'm ADD. I'm like, you know what? I'm done. So, and maybe this is boring. Maybe this isn't as exciting to some folks. All I can say is I don't have a remedy for that. I would say that we all need to get busy and think about what's most important and focus. You know what I mean? Just focus. So, Bernie Sanders and Tulsi Gabbard have introduced a sweeping bicameral bill, And my son thought that meant that the bill would be riding on 2 camels. And I said, no, that's bicameral, which means both the House and the Senate, which is awesome because you got a senator and a congressman. So they're introducing this bill, and this will hold top pharma executives criminally liable for their role in creating the crisis. Yeah, and they deserve it. They deserve it. This is, my wife works in the medical field, and she sees this every day. And these people come in, and they're addicted, and they're looking for more. They've already run out of their prescription, and they're looking for a way to get their prescription early or to increase, the volume of that prescription, and it's not pretty. And this company here, Purdue, they are largely responsible for this crisis. Other bills passed in Congress address the painful realities of addiction, but what about the root causes of that addiction? Corporate greed and corruption. There you go. Because those are 2 topics that big pharma, they can't wrap their brain around. This isn't an area where anybody should be greedy. I go to rock concerts, and I'm always amazed at the ticket price for, one ticket these days is anywhere from like $150 to like $300, depending on where you want to sit. And I'm thinking to myself, that's greedy. And it is. But it's not greedy off the backs of people that are getting addicted. It's greedy off the people with lots of disposable income, and they have nothing else to do with their time, so they'll fork over the money, and the market drives what they're doing to some degree. But this should not be some kind of market-influenced thing where these companies go in and they basically have so much money that they're making off of these drugs that they can continue to hammer home how great the drugs are and show up at the doctors and say, hey, we'll take you out to lunch, we'll grease your hand and you grease ours, and make sure you use our products and tell more consumers about our products, which means make sure you get more people hooked on these opioids. That's what that means. It says the bill Bernie and I introduced goes after the companies that push doctors to overprescribe opioids, marketed them with lies, and hid the highly addictive nature of their drugs. Kind of what I just said. Our bill would cancel the tax credits. It's incredible that they get tax credits. These companies get tax credits, the ones that are addicting our society. It's just mind-blowing here. And instead require them to pay the country back for the cost of the epidemic. That's going to be one big lawsuit, and those numbers are going to be very high. Now, something like this passing with, all its teeth, because here's what this says. Our bill gives the fight against opioid addiction some teeth, and it's the kind of legislation I'd push Congress to pass and then sign if she were the president. Now, here's where Big Pharma comes in to try to water things down. The drug industry's hijacking of our government has been extremely pervasive. So not only do we have a military-industrial complex, we have a pharmaceutical-industrial complex. So people don't understand. This is like a web of people who are devoted to keeping the status quo and the money flowing. Some members of Congress even allied with them to sneak an industry-friendly bill through Congress without a recorded vote that watered down the DEA's ability to crack down on the spread of opioids on the street. And again, this is important. I'm not in the pocket of Big Pharma. This is why Tulsi Gabbard is disliked by everyone in the mainstream, because she's just not playing ball. She's doing the opposite. She's working for us. She's not working for lobbyists. And, I hear these people say every so often, though, in the government, even people like Joe Biden, well, they're just like us. They're people just like us. These lobbyists and these big pharma executives. They're good people. They're just trying to help people. No, they're doing nothing to stop the opioid crisis. All of these companies are liable, and all of them are corrupt and greedy, and this bill needs to pass. That's how you know, or that's how you can know, that as president, I will continue to fight for a government of, by, and for the people. You know, just a novel phrase from the past that Tulsi has used. It's supposed to be a government of, by, and for the people. Imagine bringing slogans back from our past where a lot of politicians just use ridiculous platitudes like, I'm here to make America great again. Well, how are you going to do that, and how do you define that? You know, it sounds good, but how about a government? I'd rather have a government by and for the people, because we can make the country great again. Just us. We'll make it great again. All right? Politicians typically don't make anything great again. They typically ruin everything. So if the people have control, then that's when the country actually gets better. And, of course, you can click here to sign and support. So anyway, folks, yesterday was a weird day again for me. Demonetized on 2 videos and lost a total of like 6,000 views. I think they did monetize 1 video. And what happens is typically you get your views the first 24 to 48 hours, and those views decline rapidly. Tech knows this, and they know it is disheartening. Nothing is more disheartening than I'm going to upload this video, for instance, and then it's going to go immediately to yellow status, and I'm going to freak out because there's no reason why a video talking about Tulsi Gabbard and Bernie Sanders working together to derail Big Pharma, there's no reason for that video to be demonetized. But again, all of these corporate entities are protecting themselves, and they're working together, and they find ways to silence a voice. My voice is a small voice in the big scheme, the scheme of things here, but more of us are rising up. And like I say, I'm going to focus a little bit more on just straight up issues, not worrying about the food fights anymore, not worrying about what other channels are doing or saying. Because, you know, you turn on any of these progressive channels and you're going to get talk about this one saying this about this other one, and then you're going to get analysis of what the media is saying about certain people, and after a while it's noise. It's noise, and it distracts from Tulsi Gabbard. She needs all the help we can get. So the pivot has begun, at least on this channel, and I'm going to continue to focus on key issues. And every so often, you know, I might talk about another subject, but it's Tulsi or bust for now. Tulsi's doing pretty well in the polls, if you haven't been following that. So anyway, Big Pharma, we need to put Big Pharma on notice, and Bernie Sanders and Tulsi Gabbard are getting it done. All right, see you soon.